Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I am your host, Apostate, and on today's show, I am taking all sorts of callers. If you would like to join as a caller, link is pinned to the live chat of this live stream. So to give you some ideas about what we could talk about, you could talk about, if you are religious, what you believe in and why you believe it to be true. If you used to be religious and you're not anymore, you might want to talk about what changed your mind about religion and where you are today, and any other topic in between. So if you would like to join as a caller, like I said, link is pinned to the live chat. And it seems like we already have a caller or two queuing up. So now would be your chance to join before it is too late. In the meantime, what can I talk about? So I have an upcoming video that hopefully will be done in the next couple of days about a very controversial topic. And I will save you from the topic here because I don't want this live stream to get demonetized as well. But if you're curious about it, check the community posts. You'll see a couple of polls that I posted recently about it. And yeah, let's interact with some of the commenters while we wait for the callers to be verified. So thank you, Fumi, for reminding everyone. If you have not already, give this live stream a like, because it helps the reach of the channel and of this video so that more people can join and call into the show. Hello to everyone who's here. Jerwalk, Pam Puvi, Secular Spirit, Den10. M is asking, can I join this live? Yes, you can. Just click the link at the top of the live chat. That is pinned at the top of the live chat. In the meantime, let me know in the live chat what you'd like me to talk about. Let's talk about, well, the Discord server. The Discord server is how we got here. I have a community right now on Discord, and a lot of the members of that community are helping set up the infrastructure for these live streams. So if you would like to join, if you'd like to have a conversation like the ones that we have here, but in the privacy of it not being live streamed, perhaps the Discord server is a good place for you to do so. So check the link in the description. There's a bunch of links there, and it'll show you how to get to the Discord server. All you have to do is become a patron or YouTube member to support this channel, and you can join the Discord. Give me a question in the live chat so we can answer that while we're waiting for the callers to be verified. Ray Bass says, nice to see you again, AP. Love from Kurdistan. Well, nice to see you as well. But it's a common mistake. A lot of people refer to me as AP when they mean to say AA, I suppose. Apostate Aladdin. Zaid says, waiting for a cat to appear on Camera. That is a terrible pun. I applaud you for that. My cat is sleeping. Well, two of them. One of them is sleeping and the other one's right here. So I don't expect any to show up right there, but that would be nice. Den10 is asking, how have you been lately? I've been good. I've faced more resistance internally in writing for my videos lately, especially that I've been sick for a while. But I've been well, and I got a bout of inspiration, and another video's coming out very, very soon. Top to Top is asking, any update on Siraj Hayani? I haven't kept up with Siraj or his deconversion. It's been a few weeks since I last heard about it. Do you know anything about that? The Komi Bengali is asking, if I join, am I allowed to take the clip and put it on my channel? I suppose you are, yeah. What would you like to talk about? Ooh, Secular Spirit with a spicy question. Secular Spirit is asking, what do you think of all these collaborations AP does with David Wood, Apostate Prophet? So, to be honest with you, I haven't watched any of them in a long time. And the main reason is I don't necessarily like David Wood or a lot of the comments that I see under his videos. I think that it is bizarre to have that much critical thought about a religion and not your own, while also promoting your religion. So I don't like that. I don't like that it might be putting a huge blind spot in the eyes of those who are criticizing Islam. And I don't like that vulnerable people who had just left a religion might be swayed into joining another one because of how much it is promoted there. So I certainly don't like that allyship to that extent. I know that AP has done a lot for ex-Muslims all over the world for a long time now, but I think that lately it's just been collaborations with David Wood, and that I've been told many, many times that that has pushed people away because they don't like necessarily Christianity, or they don't like to be in the presence of a pastor talking about Islam. So yeah, I wish that he would do less of those and focus more on ex-Muslim issues without necessarily appealing to a Christian audience. Cheese Tax is asking, what made you think about this live? Well, I hadn't done one in a while, so that's why I'm doing this one today. And I don't have any specific topics lined up, so it'll be interesting to see what people come up with. Samira says, will you do reaction streams again to apologetics and the like? Yes. Thank you for reminding me about that. I will be doing more of those as well. Tarank says, hi, Aladdin. God bless you. Love your work. Thank you. So if you would like me to do a reaction, if you'd like me to do a reaction live stream, what is a good video, or who is a preacher that you'd like me to react to? Amina is asking, have you told your parents you're ex-Muslim? If so, how did they react? Sorry if that's too personal. Like I said, because I for their own safety, I can't talk in detail about how that went, but I am out to the closest members of my family, and it was a difficult process, but I am very glad that I did it. But I urge people who have that impulse or want to tell their family to really think about it before they do it, and make sure that it is in their best interest to do so at that time. I'm not imploring you to be closeted forever, but make sure that you time it right so that it is best for you. Like, don't rush into it just because you want to do it. And I waited a long time till I was well positioned to be able to have that conversation with them, and I'm glad that I did it when I did. What do you think about Arabian Prophet? He is on Rumble, also known as Christian Prince. I remember watching clips of some of his videos back when he was on YouTube. I don't like him because even as a questioning Muslim and a recent ex-Muslim, I didn't think that he did anything for me. He was there to shout at Muslims who were very stubborn in conversation with him and feel like he won, or maybe give his Christian audience a show, but it didn't help me in any way. So I don't necessarily like his style. E.T. is asking, do you call yourself an atheist or agnostic? What religion do you lean to in terms of their teachings, or no religion at all? I think I am both atheist and agnostic. Atheist in the sense that I don't have a belief in God, and agnostic in the sense that I don't know. I don't know how this world came to be. I don't know why we're here. If there's a why we're here, I don't know how we came to be. And I am open to the possibility that there could be a higher being, but that doesn't mean that I think that it is a coin toss, that it's a 50-50 chance that there is a God. So I don't really know which label primarily to use. I don't even find myself needing to use those labels on a day-to-day basis, thankfully. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but I hope it did. Zane's asking, do you read? Yes, I do. What do you read? All sorts of books. The most recent one I'm reading is called Hooked by Michael Moss, I think is the name of the author. And it is about the food industry and how our diets have changed, and how the food industry manufacturers are taking advantage of our biological instincts to eat. And I do like it a lot, so I do recommend it. I read all sorts of books, and it varies, and sometimes I'm reading multiple books at the same time. Another one that I'm reading for leisure is a translation of the Arabian Nights stories, and I don't know how it took me so long to read that. Um, Dan Pahomi, thank you so much for the super chat. They're saying, "Hey brother, I wish I was able to join the call in, but I'm not so well knowledgeable in the theology of my religion. Anyway, all the best." Well, I appreciate your comment, but I also want to remind people you don't have to be a religious expert to join one of these calls. I am. The point isn't to try to have an argument or a debate about it or to prove your religion. I could also still be interested in why you are religious, um, even if you're not an expert in your religion. So if you would like to join, I implore you to join. Let's see. T-Rex is asking, since you have come out to some family members, do you find yourself more able to have conversations critical or questioning about Islam? With them, no. And I don't necessarily want to, because, everyone's situation is different, but in mine, I'm lucky enough that I'm able to live without much restriction from religion anymore. So I don't feel the need to have conversations about religion because it doesn't interfere in my life. In terms of how it interferes with theirs or affects theirs, I do not touch that topic. I don't question them on how they live their life, and I'm not seeing anything extremely harmful that I feel like I have to intervene and do something about. So, no, it's actually, if anything, we've been speaking less about this topic, which is fine by me. I don't feel like I necessarily need to talk about it with family members. Just checking. Do we have any callers who are ready to join? Oh, it looks like we do have a caller who's ready to join. Can you give me a summary in the text chat about what they'd like to talk about? Just so I'm ready. In the meantime, I'll read some more comments. Cheese Tax says, I only told 2 persons. The first one told me to go see an imam, and the second argued that it is because I'm too feminist. Hell yes. Yeah. Anna says, your live streams are always great to watch. I'm neither Muslim nor ex-Muslim, but I appreciate the amicable atmosphere on your channel. Well, I appreciate that. Yes, it is asking, what are your opinions on the Gaza war currently going on? I don't have enough information or expertise to have any opinion that you should care about. All that I can say is that I feel sorry for the victims, which at the moment are primarily the residents of Gaza or ex-residents of Gaza, and I wish for the war to end. T-Rex, another question. Do you think it is important for the ex-Muslim community to interact and collaborate with members of other former religious communities? Yes, I think it is extremely important because not only can we support each other and learn from each other's experiences, even though we didn't have the same religion, but also there's strength in numbers, and there aren't enough ex-Muslims, ex-whatever religion on their own. I mean, maybe for other religions, but I feel like for Islam, we could use the numbers, the support of other ex-religious people. So it could also be eye-opening for those who have left another religion to have an idea about what to expect in case they wanted to join Islam. So yeah, I do think that it is very important. Let's see, we have a caller, but please, moderators, let me know what the caller would like to talk about before I add them to the stream. Thank you so much, Gikno, for gifting a bunch of memberships. Very generous, as always. We've had a lot of new members because of that specifically. Okay, I will just add the caller and hope for the best. Marie, I hope that you're ready because I'm adding you to the live stream now. Hey, Marie, can you hear me? Hello, are you there? Hey, Marie. I don't hear anything at the moment. Okay, seems like they have left. Okay, hopefully when they figure out the technical difficulties, I'll add them back again. Bun Chan says, "You have such a nice voice. It is so calming. Thank you for making videos. You helped me leave Islam." Well, I'm happy that I was able to help, and thank you for the compliment. More ASMR content. I do have a second channel. If you don't know about it, it's called Aladdin Reads, and it is, if you go to my main channel homepage, you'll find it. I haven't been posting on there a lot, but I will try to do so more often. Yes, it is asking, do you think there are any closeted ex-Muslim scholars out there that still preach? Tariq Ramadan might be a good example of one. I'm not familiar with Tariq Ramadan, so I can't really say if I even get that sense from him, but I think that's definitely, there are definitely people stuck in that situation. I personally have spoken to one person who used to be a sheikh, or I don't know what you'd call an imam, at a mosque, and he left when he did leave Islam, but he didn't necessarily tell the members of his community or the other sheikhs why he doesn't do it anymore. He just made up excuses and, said he's focusing on a career or something of the sort. So I imagine there might be people who are trapped in that situation, and maybe they don't necessarily have another career option and that's the way to go forward, or maybe they can't get out of that situation. So I wouldn't be surprised. T-Rex says, "I also feel like the ex-Muslim community is very isolated. I think joining a larger community might help them realize there are more commonalities in their experience." I do agree with that. Unfortunately, the call did not work with the caller. I need them to be in the correct place for me to add them. Okay, we're having a lot of technical difficulties with the callers today. I'm not sure why. I'll continue to read the live chat till then. All right. Oddity says, "Have you ever thought about putting a mask on and using a voice changer, etc.? Maybe. Then go to Speaker's Corner to talk to Muslims to see what they say, etc." I have thought about going, not to Speaker's Corner, because, I don't know if everyone is aware, but there's one person who was stabbed there. She's a very vocal critic of Islam, and I don't really trust my safety will be insured in a place like that. But I have thought about going onto a college campus or a street and talking to people. But I haven't done it yet because of safety concerns, and also I don't know where to go. It's kind of it's a problem where I don't want to go somewhere where there aren't enough Muslims. Then I don't necessarily care to talk about atheism. I am curious to know people's beliefs about Islam more specifically if I do something like that. But if I go to an area that is high in population density in Muslims, then I'm a bit more worried about my safety given the nature of what I'm talking about and how aggressive some people can be about their faith. So, there's not really a good balance. But if everything goes well, I will be appearing at a public event later this year, and that's all I can say about that for now. Sean is asking, "How was your personality like when you were a devout Muslim? How have you changed since then?" So many things have changed over the years that I don't know how much to attribute to just leaving religion and how much to attribute to changing my mindset, with growth. There's one thing, for example, that I was writing about today because it relates to the topic of the next video. When I was younger, when I was a more devout Muslim, I would think that it is the woman's fault if I am tempted by her presence. And I was somewhat of a soft advocate for women covering up and gender segregation and all that, but not really entirely. I grew out of that fairly quickly. There are many ways that I've changed since I was a believer, but I think there was some underlying part of me that wasn't comfortable with how I was supposed to think or behave, even when I was a believer, and that part still remains. So I'll take another question, and then I'm taking a caller because it seems like we do have a caller ready. Starry Messenger is asking, "Hey Aladdin, so many people win memberships. Do you vet everyone before they join the community?" Absolutely, yes. Even people who get gifted a membership. I speak to every new member of the community. We are over 150 people at this point, and I've spoken to every single one of them before they joined. So rest assured, there is some degree of safety in a community like that. All right, I will take the caller. Let's see. I hope this works this time. Hey, Marie, can you hear me?
Yes, hello?
Yeah, hi, I can hear you now. How's it going?
Yes, fine, thank you. How are you?
I am good, thanks. So tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're calling today.
Okay, so first off, I would like to say that English is not my first language, so I'm sorry if I make mistakes or anything. I just apologize.
That's okay.
Um, so I am actually from France, and I've watched your show for maybe 2 weeks, and I'm an ex-Muslim.
Okay.
And if that's okay, I just wanted to share my story. It's not incredible at all. It's just basic, but if you want to, I can share it.
Of course, yeah, and don't be dismissive of your story. It doesn't have to be a drastic, dramatic story. If anything, more people can relate to the average, everyday story. So please don't feel embarrassed of your story.
Okay, no, I'm not embarrassed. It's just that it's super regular, it's super normal. So yeah,
Mhm.
maybe people will identify more. Yeah, so I was born in a Muslim family from North Africa.
Okay.
I'm over 35, and so I live in France. I've always lived in France, and so when I was a kid, my dad was he was practicing like, he was very Sunni, but I always thought that my dad was exaggerating. And when I grew up, I just, when I was like 30 years old, I discovered that my dad was not exaggerating. He was just strictly following the Sunnah. And so I'm sorry, I'm just a bit confused. So let's go back to my teenager. So when I was a teenager, I started to be uncomfortable, to feel uncomfortable with some issues. The fact that there are so many things with women, with minorities, that I couldn't accept. And I always thought that it was not the fault of Islam, but it was the fault of the people who were not applying it the right way. So that's the story I was told. And so I got so many chances so many opportunities to change my point of view on that, but it was too complicated for me to question my faith. So even though I was very rational, I considered myself very rational, there was always this thing I couldn't find. I couldn't reconciliate my faith, the things that I learned, with my values, the fact that I'm for equality of rights for everyone, for justice, etc. And so I just lived like that, going in and out of faith for 20 years, until I went on therapy 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago actually. And I did a work on my values and on my identity. And then I finally discovered that that this couldn't match my faith, my so-called faith. And so I just had an epiphany and I realized I don't believe anymore. That's it. So that's uh, that's a summary.
Mhm. It tends to be a gradual process like that for a lot of us, where we feel like something is wrong for a long time, but it takes us a while to figure out what it is. So how did it feel when you realized that you don't believe anymore?
It was so it took 2 years during which I was feeling that I couldn't, how to say, I wasn't okay saying that I was Muslim, but I wasn't okay saying that I was not Muslim. Plus, I didn't know that apostates existed. So I was like, I had nothing to identify to.
Mm.
And it was very uncomfortable. It was not uncomfortable. It was terrible. It was awful for 2 years. And one day I listened to a testimony from a Jehovah's testimony. I think that's how you call them. And it was that day that I had that epiphany that, yeah, this guy, he's not even Muslim, and it's the same brainwashing. It's the same mechanics. The system is the same. So I understand how he feels. I understand how he felt, and I feel the same. And I just realized I feel good right now, even if it was very painful. But I felt relieved at that moment. But it took me 2 years of agony, honestly.
If you could, well, you can't go back in time, so I don't want you to think about what you would have done differently. But if someone was stuck in the same situation you were in 2 years ago, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that, yeah, one thing I would have loved people, well, someone to tell me back then is that you should listen to your inner voice. It's not stupid that you feel uncomfortable. It's not stupid that you feel like something is wrong. And even though you don't follow what the voice says to you in the end, but you should listen to it. And that's my biggest mistake, I think.
So, had you listened to your voice earlier, your inner voice, what would you have done differently?
I think at that time, if I was more respectful of my emotions and of my inner voice, I would have investigated, just simply. Because the thing is that there were so many contradictions, but I was swiping everything under the rug, and I was trying to make my life coherent, even though the basis was not coherent. I don't know if I'm clear, but that's the thing, yeah, that I think. I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused right now.
That's
I don't know
okay.
if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Um, well, I'm wondering if you have any questions for me.
Well, it's not really a question, but the fact that there are people like you, and also I discovered Abdullah Samir recently, who have this power to speak out, and but without violence, like the way you do it. It's To me, it's very important, because so many people, they do not respond to shocking speeches or to violent speeches. And I'm from France, and in France, I discovered the apostate milieu, and it's a bit different. People are a bit sometimes aggressive, and I understand this aggressivity because they have been through very harsh things because of the religion. But to me, it was not audible. It was something that I couldn't hear. And the fact that I found your videos, and not only you, but other people who are very calm and who don't show hatred, to me, it's very important. So I would like to thank you for that work and for that posture that you have.
Thank you. Of course. I I don't see any other way to do it. I mean, I don't think I was hateful earlier on or anything, but of course, with time, I become even less and less combative and antagonistic. But I remember way before I had a YouTube channel, and I when I first came across some people talking about the topic on YouTube, their aggressiveness put me off because I felt that the stories I was told about people who leave religion and this picture of an apostate was true, or perhaps that even if everything they said made sense, every criticism they made of the religion, even if it was solid, I felt, now what? Now I'm angry. Now I feel like I'm right, but I'm angry and I'm alone and I don't know what to do next. So
Yeah,
I didn't want that anymore.
yeah, exactly. And I want to add something if you
Hmm.
if I can
Of
have
course.
some more
Yeah, yeah.
seconds. Yeah, I had, as I said before, I had so many opportunities to question my beliefs. And for example, when I was 19 or 20, I don't remember, I was at university, and I had a teacher because I studied Arabic, and that teacher, he was an atheist, obviously, or at least he didn't believe in Islam, and he was very aggressive towards the fact that we shouldn't believe the things in our religion. And the course was about religion, Islamic religion. And I always felt very uncomfortable with that approach, even though maybe he was right. Like in my mind, it was like, I really don't want to hear anything from that person because to me it's very aggressive, and I'm sure that's not true. I was just telling myself, I don't like the way he speaks to us, so I'm sure that's not true. And now I realize that he was right about so many things, but I was absolutely not in how do you say, in a state of mind who that could let me listen to him. So for some people they need to be shocked, but for other people it can have a very it can have the opposite effect. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I was actually gonna ask you about that next. So, the argument that I heard from people who are supportive of the more shocking, aggressive style of confrontation, they might say that they themselves needed that when they were religious, or that they think that works. Do you think that that method works for some people?
If I Yeah, if I believe some of the testimonies I have heard, yeah, to some people it works because they need that how can I say to get out of the way they think, to go out to how can I say, I don't know. I think it's about personality, and I think that some people, they are just very responsive to authority and to aggressivity, and they can question themselves if they are put in front of someone who's aggressive and who has a bit of violence in his speech, in their speech. But it doesn't work with everyone. So for example, I have a brother, and he's like very strict in everything, and he's never late, everything. So he's got a very strict way of life, I'd say. And for him, it's okay. It doesn't matter if the person is aggressive, or as long as they're right, he will take it into account. He's not very emotional about that, but I am. So we are very different, and so many times we argued because we couldn't understand each other's perspective, because we didn't have the same way to approach an argument. So
Mhm.
yes, I'm sure it works for some people, and it's just that it will never work for everyone. But yeah, for some it will.
I wonder. I know that it takes all kinds, and that one approach can't work for everybody. But I often wonder if the aggressive approach is harming others. Like, it might work for some people, but simultaneously it is harming other people. And I don't know if it is still absolutely necessary. Like, say, for example, we eliminate the aggressive approach towards deconverting people or challenging people about their beliefs or whatever else it may be. Um, will does that mean that people who respond to aggressiveness will never respond to a more gentle approach? I don't know. But all I could do is my part. So I'm glad that I'm able to do this for as long as I can. And yeah, I hope that everyone who needs to find a voice and a space to have these discussions in whatever manner they find comfortable, I hope that they find it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for everything you do, and for the messages you're trying um, uh, to express. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I'm just
Yeah.
not finding. I can't find my words correctly right now. So I really hope that now this movement is going to grow bigger. And actually, in France, we currently have a surge in people on YouTube or on TikTok who are doing lives, who are doing videos. They're making videos, and I have never seen that before. And I was thinking that I have a bias because I was not interested in the matter before. I didn't even know that it existed. But when I talked to other people, they said no, the end of the 2023 year, of the year 2023, that things have really changed, and we have so many people uh, talking about that, and it's to me it's good because um, in France we have I think it's not only in France, but we are afraid to criticize Islam because it would mean that we criticize Muslims. So you're always trying to not hurt people's feeling, etc. And this is really, I think it's not a good approach. So the fact that this exists and some new people are coming and they are really, that's really, I don't know, it's very new and they're very direct, you know. Some of them are aggressive, some of them are more, you know, smoother. But anyways, there are so many people who are talking right now about these issues in France, and I'm in French actually, not in France, and I'm very happy about that, and I hope it will continue.
I really hope so as well. Yeah, and I'm happy to hear from you, and I'm glad that after your 2 years of struggles that you now have reached a conclusion and that um, you've resolved many of these issues in your mind.
Yeah, yeah, it's it's been um how can I say that? I really thought that my world was going to fall apart, and I really thought that if I didn't have religion, faith, or anything, that I couldn't exist in this world. And I was so wrong. So that's something I want to say to people who are so afraid to leave religion without nothing, is that if you get to know yourself better and if you get to accept who you are, then you will exist and you will have a purpose in life. You don't always need that purpose from the outside, given to you from the outside. You don't need religion to have a purpose. So to me, being an atheist was like the worst thing that could happen to me. And now I'm realizing that's why didn't I do it before? That it's so life is so much better with my own values, with and so many things that I couldn't be if I was still a Muslim. So yeah, as a woman, it's even worse.
Mm.
So yeah, now I feel so comfortable not having anything that dictates me what I should be or do, but just my own values.
I'm really happy to hear that. And I
Thank
hope
you.
that anyone who is in your position can hear that there is a way out and it is not as bleak as they're made to believe.
Yeah, there is definitely. Yeah, but it just takes time and it takes reflection. And I think people should know how to listen to themselves and how to think about how they think, metacognition.
Mhm.
So that's very important. I think that's what we need more.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you calling in today. It was very nice talking to you. And
Well, thank
yeah,
you very much.
hmm
Thank you very much for having me.
of course. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, it's almost midnight here. Thank you.
Well, have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thanks to the caller for joining. It looks like we have a bunch of callers verified. Thank you so much to the moderators for all their help behind the scenes. So I'm going to take the next caller now. I hope that you're ready because I'm adding you right now. Hey, BM, can you hear me? Let's give him a second to unmute and join the call. My cat is right here behind the scenes. Hey, BM. Caller, I can't hear you yet. Try disconnecting the call and doing. Oh yeah, there we go. How's it going?
It's fine, thank you.
Welcome to the call. I know you're a member of the Discord server, so I've already spoken to you at least once before. Tell me what you'd like to talk about today.
It's related to the concept of the free will. Sorry, you pardon my English. Really, sometimes it's so bad.
That's okay. Yeah, so you want to talk about the concept of free will? Tell me more.
Yeah.
So, what about free will would you like to talk about, or do you have any thoughts about it?
Well, despite passing through the struggle of realizing how false our previous Islam belief was, and in fact, I was able to open up. I'm not hiding it. I was able to open up to my family, and I was even at last able to move out to be on my own. So I think I'm not being still living under some influences that I think were attracting me to Islam more, but I found myself in a situation of having a purpose of finding, getting into deeper understanding about things. Like literally, I just tend to understand there is a lot of things I just have to know. So I always reading, checking this or that. Found it very interesting, and for the first time, one day I came across something, an explanation, a logic explanation concerning the concept of free will, and it's kind of ringing in my head.
So,
And
what is that concept of free will? The logical explanation for it. Tell us about that.
yeah, and that's why I say let me open it up to you. Maybe when I open it, maybe if I happen to be biased in one or the other, because I know how dangerous the issue of bias is, maybe somebody can be able to look at it in another wider perspective that maybe I might not have looked at it in that way.
Okay. So, go ahead and so
Yeah,
are you asking me what I think about free will?
no, I know what you think because I've listened to you
Mm-hmm.
for many times, and I was in the same page with you. If not that, and but this sounds very new to me. What I find, and I want to share it. Maybe
Okay.
if you can have some clue to say, or maybe to say, okay, I'm not checking this or that, but literally, I don't know. I'm getting, it's getting my attention. So this guy was explaining the concept of free will, like according to, although he is preaching it in the Islamic way, but I I see his thing very different, though. But let me just say, some of the topic he was tackling are things that I've been battling with for the past, and I see him coming out with some different dimensional views that
Well,
I
can you
don't
tell us one of
know.
those views?
Like the one I want to talk about is the free will. He was explaining free will, although he rejected the the majority, the mainstream concept, and he brought out this that, and he's claiming it's from the Quran. Though he said it's as if it's not that God has already predestined it for us, like that. He make an analogy. He make an example using an analogy like, what about, for example, if somebody is standing atop a very tall building and he's being able to look at the helicopter view, maybe of a city, and he will be able to see every car that is coming along every street, and he can see if at all there is somebody who is violating the traffic rule, maybe drinking or smoking or making calls or not paying attention while driving. And
So,
along the other street, maybe
mhm.
in your own dimension, you are not looking at that. You are only looking at your front, while the person at top is looking at the top view. Another person is coming through this way. That somebody who is viewing at the top can be able to understand there will be accident or there will be a crash, while he is not predestining it for you, but he may know based on he is aware of
Okay,
what you are doing and
let
he
me
knows the
yeah.
rules.
Let me try to reiterate it and see if I understand correctly. So, it's an analogy of God being on top, a man being on top of a building, and they can see an accident coming, even though they didn't cause the two people who are crashing into each other to crash. God knows that it will happen, or that person knows it will happen. But that is not how necessarily it works in Islam. There are hadiths about how God predestines specifically before a soul is blown into a fetus or into a baby, whether it will be shaqiyun am sa'id, if it will be struggling or happy, or having a good life, if it will be believing or not. Like the example of which prophet was it? Was it? I always confuse these prophets. Was it Ibrahim? Yeah, Ibrahim and the wise man Al Khidr, where God ordered Al Khidr to kill a child because he knew when that child grew up, that child will become a bad, disbelieving person who harms his parents somehow.
Ah,
So
yes.
it's not just that God can see it coming, but it's not. But God didn't decide anything. There's precedent in Islam that God intentionally decides things sometimes, and even if it was just God can see it coming, isn't it cruel? Like it's similar to an example. Say I have cats, and I know that these cats have a genetic defect where if they reproduce, their offspring, the kittens, will have a genetic problem, and it will be very difficult for them to breathe, for example. I didn't cause the genetic problem, but I let them reproduce anyway. Wouldn't it be my fault because I saw it coming? It's like I saw the accident coming, and even though I didn't make them reproduce and I didn't cause the genetic defect, I allowed it to happen. How could I then blame the cats for that issue? So that's how I view free will in Islam. Even if God didn't predestine the accident, if he saw it coming and did nothing to stop it, how can God then have an emotional reaction about the accident? How can God be angry that people got in an accident somehow, or that someone isn't believing? That part doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, yeah, you're right what you said. But like I said, there's a lot of research I can see from the channel, and I haven't gone so much deeper. I just started
Mhm.
with the
Mhm.
basic ones, and despite like you make mention of the hadith, although this person he's not using making use of the hadith, like he's not making use of the hadith because he said once there's contradiction, so that the material shouldn't be that material is not proper for somebody to acquire the perfect knowledge.
Mhm.
So and regarding some issues, he said that his work is work in progress. So and there is a lot of knowledge that maybe some answers couldn't be gotten now, but maybe in the future, maybe along the research, um, some things might be coming up. Like I told you, I was just able to see some question like the issue of the uh, um, the the purpose of life and the concept of the free will and the proof of and the scientific proof of existence of God and other things. And I was just trying to reason with them, and I don't know maybe if I'm biased one way or the other, despite I know I've freed myself of all the shackles I've been before I,
Mhm.
to the extent that I'm open in my own view and understanding with my own family and dress. So, uh, so I'm a
I
kind of
yeah.
still
I know it could be
looking
very
because
difficult.
definitely I know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know it could
yeah,
be very difficult to start even questioning yourself because as a Muslim, you're supposed to question, or as a believer, you're supposed to question yourself, not God. If you notice something doesn't make sense, it is your fault. It's not God's fault. So I understand that now it's difficult to understand what is a healthy amount of questioning yourself. I get stuck in that situation as well.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm in a stage whereby I don't even trust myself because, like, it become obvious for me to see how a lot of damages can be done while unaware. You get me? So,
Hmm.
and I know how the cognition. I've been making some research about how the human psyche, the cognition works, and these really deeper things down there. And I don't know, but despite discarding wherever I was born and brought up. I was born from a Sunni family. I was brought up. In fact, I'm in the middle of from my both right side, left, up, down, everywhere is Muslim. So
Hmm.
I know what it is to even start thinking of other sources and even be able to consciously feel okay going out or living. And and I feel I just can't stop searching for knowledge. But what is important? How can I verify? How can I be able to be in line with what is the
Hmm.
actual truth? So
So
I don't know
what's
if you
what?
feel you ever arrive, but I never feel I arrive. I always feel I just have to continue searching, make a
I don't
research,
think
and
I don't think there's a point that you arrive at where you stop questioning or where you have all the knowledge that you need, because
yeah,
no one knows everything there is to know about this world. I don't know if there's a higher being that has that kind of knowledge, but as far as we know, no human knows everything there is to know. So maybe the problem here is that you were expecting simple or definitive answers because when you were a believer, there were simple and or definitive answers that say, the fact is, this is reality and this is what Allah said. And now you can never find that. No matter how much you study, how much you read, you will never find definitive answers for everything in life. So maybe what you need is a mindset change where you don't require definitive answers for everything in life.
sure, sure. I'm aware. I know I agree with what you say. But anyway, I don't know if I'm missing some things because, like I told you, just not long ago, and I haven't mixed some kind of maybe there are some things I'm not saying, but and I know I'm not doing justice to what I saw because I literally know I'm not saying it in the kind of accuracy maybe it's being stated. And I know you understand Arabic better because I'm not a native Arabic speaker at all. So and the guy is using some Arabic terms and the rest. So you based on you speak Arabic better, you are traditionally Arabic. So maybe I can say it out. Maybe you can check it and another time. If there's anything I'm not saying, maybe when we talk, you can clarify it to me and
Mhm.
maybe if anyone that might be in my own shoe.
Is there anything in particular that you want someone to clarify?
Well, like I said, I'm still checking, though there are a lot of controversy. Like the name of the channel is, I don't know if you've ever come across, maybe you can see some. The name of the channel is the Marvelous, the guy called the, the Marvelous Quran. I don't know if you've come across it or you've already make a video about it or anything.
About what, sorry?
The name, I don't know if you're familiar with the name of the channel. The guy is from Marvelous Quran.
Marvelous Quran.
Um,
Okay, I might check it out later. Yeah.
okay, though there are a lot of materials there, but like I said, that's why I don't know if I'm not doing justice to this. I just checked the few earlier ones, like
Mhm.
I think about five of them, and the first one is the scientific proof of God existence. The second one, I think, is
Mhm.
the
Well, let
purpose
me let
of
me let me ask
living.
you something before we wrap up soon. Um, so I, for example, I no longer, even before starting this channel, I no longer go to these, religious claims and try to think, are they right? Am I wrong? I don't actively do that anymore. If I come across something I think is
Yeah, yeah.
compelling,
I
yeah.
um
So do you still do that?
like
Do you
I
still
said,
search for them?
no, I'm still in the kind of issue. It just happened accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
I the fact that he's not even using any religious claim at the initial, he really claims logic and rationality, and he claims the knowledge, the veracity of the knowledge. So that's why it even caught my attention. Not that it's not somebody who is stuck in the. I'm not fooling any research. In fact, anybody you know how it is the fact that we've been through a lot of experience growing up as Muslims. So I don't know, the moment I listen to somebody even for a minute, I can clearly explain your perspective or whatever you are thinking or the kind of paradigm you'll be locked in. So that's why I say this is a very different case, and not something that's why I say maybe I will talk to you maybe
Mm-hmm.
if there's something that I don't know, maybe I'm biased on or anything. Like I told you, I don't even really try to trust my own thinking because I know how I've think some things to be right before, and clearly they are not even right, obviously. So that's why I think let me talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you
And the
calling in today.
mm,
Yeah.
all right,
Thanks a lot for joining, and yeah, and thank you also for being a member of the community.
yeah, it's my been there. Thank you so much.
Of course. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right, thank you, and you
Take care.
too.
Bye bye.
Thank you. You're doing a great work too.
Oh, that's okay. I can do that. All right. All right. Thanks again to the caller for joining. I'll read this comment before getting to the next caller. So if you're ready, Billie, you're going to be the next caller. So Zaid says, oh, I can't seem to highlight it right now. Zaid says, speaking Arabic does not necessarily mean understanding the Quran. It's like speaking modern English and trying to explain what Shakespeare meant. Um, yeah, without context or commentary, it's not as easy as it sounds. I agree. I think some people forget that. It does position us a little bit better to be able to understand the commentary and whatnot, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you speak Arabic, you understand what the Quran's talking about. And I don't think that is the point that, like, some apologists use that as a defense of the Quran by saying it's your fault, you misunderstood it or something of the sort. I think it's a poorly written book. If it is meant to be the final book for all of humanity, for that purpose, for a guidebook, it could have been written so much better. So that's what I think. All right, let's get to the next caller. The next caller is Billie. I hope you're ready because I'm adding you to the live stream now. Hey, Billie, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How is it going?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. So tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're calling today.
I am Billy, or Bilal, like my parents would know me.
Mhm.
I'm an ex-Muslim living in the Netherlands. And yeah, like I wanted to call in today to talk a little bit about some of like the gripes I have with the ex-Muslim community.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, I love the ex-Muslim community. It was a safe haven for me when when I like first, I guess, like realized that the Muslim was not something that really uh, fit my identity anymore, I guess. But yeah, I guess I want to have like a little conversation about that and see if we can, I guess, like figure some things out. I don't know. But
Sure.
yeah, like,
Where do you want to start?
so like, I think my main issue with the ex-Muslim community is the rampant Islamophobia, and I say that knowing that that it is like, at least like on Reddit and among some of the more prominent ex-Muslim YouTubers, it is kind of commonplace to just dismiss Islamophobia as something that doesn't exist or isn't important in the face of I guess like religious freedom, or like the freedom not to be religious for them specifically. But it feels to me as if the ex-Muslim community is doesn't really consider Islamophobia to be one of like the root causes of how conservative and how dismissive of dissent um, a lot of Muslim people are nowadays. But yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that or if you disagree up until now.
I mean, I soft disagree because I detest the term Islamophobia. I really do not like it
Yeah,
because
right.
I think it helps in perpetuating harm more than it actually prevents harm. So, what do you mean by Islamophobia?
I guess like irrational hate for Muslim people. I will say, ex-Muslims have a very rational distaste for their previous religion, where whether it be like through religious trauma, like I have, um, or just directly things stated in like religious scripture, which I also dislike. But when I say Islamophobia, I more so mean like the generalizing towards like all Muslims that I feel like is really there within the ex-Muslim community. That I don't know, like that kind of answers your question there.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that.
Sure.
Firstly, yeah, the reason why I don't like the term Islamophobia is because
Yeah.
I qualify as an Islamophobe, even though I don't think I qualify as what you're describing as an issue. And
Right.
any sort of dissent against Islam, any sort of criticism of Islam, or any sort of statement of disliking Islam qualifies as Islamophobia because it is the dislike of Islam. I don't think that in the definition of it, it necessarily means irrational or unwarranted or unqualified. It just means dislike of Islam. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with not liking a religion. I think
Mm-hmm.
Islamophobia is used to shield Islam and poorly behaving Muslims from consequences or from criticism, and that's why I don't like that term. But from what else that, like everything else that you're saying, I see where you're coming from. I think that so here's what I think part of the problem is, or at least that's what I observed before joining myself, because I felt like that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have my voice, because I didn't hear my voice echoed with many of the at least the English speaking ex-Muslim YouTubers that I had seen. Some of them, yes, but many of them not so. There's this anger and frustration, and sometimes they don't know where to direct it or what to do with it. And then there's a lot of hatred that comes from Muslims and Islam that predates Islamophobia, that predates anything to do with Islam outside the Middle East. Like I'm talking, there's a lot of hatred from Muslims and Islam against people who leave religion, or against Christians, or against whatever else. Even when I lived in Saudi Arabia, there was not a single non-Muslim there who would bully a Muslim person. Like, it had nothing to do with what you would think of as Islamophobia. So I think that, and that fuels people who have been wronged by Islam or don't like it, to then be just blanket hateful towards anyone who identifies with Islam. And then they see that anyone who is a Muslim is complicit in that system of hatred, even if they don't necessarily participate in that kind of hatred. They're on the same side. And that kind of black and white thinking I do not like. So I see where you're coming from. I just wish we had better labels for that kind of thing.
Right. I would say that, not to get too much into the semantics, because, like, semantics, but I will say that, like, if you don't make the distinction between, like, irrationally disliking Islam and rationally disliking Islam, and, like, don't, like, separate them enough through, like, words like Islamophobia, I feel like you can't, like, really have this conversation, and people do tend to muddy those two things, because, like, I also just really dislike when Muslim people use Islamophobia as a shield for any sort of criticism. I think that is horseshit, and that does not qualify as Islamophobia in my book. Like, and just in general, like, I don't think you can call any sort of criticism that comes from a genuine, like, rational point of view. Rational is kind of a biased term here, but you cannot qualify that as Islamophobia, which is why I would, like, say that is invalid. So I would argue that, like, those arguments are invalid. But to dismiss the term Islamophobia because people wrongly use it, I feel like you're not left with any way to describe, like, the genuine structural, I guess, like, distaste of Muslims. And what I feel like
you could still call it bigotry. You could still call it xenophobia.
That is true,
because
but,
I think
like,
that's what it stems from. It's about the fear of the other, or the fear of this certain sort of villain picture of someone that people can blame their problems or their country's problems on, even when that's not necessarily the case. But the reason I dislike it is because it is used as a shield. Like I said, and I have no data to support this, but from my experience, I think the people harmed by the misuse of the word Islamophobia, that's a greater harm than the people who are actually harmed by Islamophobia.
Oh, hard disagree. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt, but, like, hard disagree. Islamophobia is very structural, in the sense that, like, it dictates, like, a lot of the narratives we have, like, surrounding the Middle East, like, from things like Edward Said's, like, Orientalism to today, like, the media and the way that they portray like the Israel-Palestine conflict. And it is such a deeply ingrained structural thing that harms so many people in the Middle East through mainly, like, Western foreign intervention nowadays. It just, I would not say that, like,
I don't know if that's because of we don't have to agree on that, But I don't
Oh yeah.
think what you're describing is necessarily because of Islamophobia. Like, I don't think what the U.S. meddling in politics in the Middle East or even attacking countries, I don't think that's because of a fear or dislike of Islam. I think there are,
They do use it, right? To create, I guess, like or yeah, to create like an environment in which they can do it. Like the Islamophobia is created so that they don't
I don't think they
have that
necessarily
much
even
opposition.
need the people's permission or the people's lack of opposition. There are a lot of things that, if we're talking about the US, there are a lot of things that most Americans agree are harming them, and the government continues to do. So I disagree that Islamophobia is the reason why the US or empowering or enabling that kind of behavior.
Mm.
I think that more often than not, it scares people into not getting involved with anything related to Islam because they don't want to be labeled a hateful person or an Islamophobe. And I think, and here's even more bold. I see where we disagree here, and because I don't think that Islamophobia is fuel in world politics in that sense, I don't think it plays that big of a factor. That's why we disagree. But I also think there are more Muslims and ex-Muslims harmed by bystanders not wanting to intervene or not wanting to get in the middle than there are Muslims harmed by Islamophobia in the West.
I suppose like I definitely see where you're coming from. And I see like where we disagree here. And it might be another, I guess, like semantical type of disagreement. But I do agree with you, like when it comes to that things that you mentioned, like how people should, intervene more and how we should, try to help ex-Muslims more. And yeah, it's like I guess like wrap it up a little bit. I am very like grateful for like what you do here and yeah, for like the community you create. Like it has helped me a lot over the years. So I do really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I hope that we can that you can continue to I guess like help people like get out of their I guess like yeah, get out of their religion might be a bit of a prescriptive way to put it, but yeah, just
It's
to
well,
discover themselves a bit better.
I appreciate your supportive words, and I also don't want to make it seem like I just disagree with you and I'm dismissing everything you said. I hear you, and I want to take it back to the point that you were making, that there is a sort of blanket hatred and aggressiveness,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to do something about it by providing a different model to engage with this
Yeah.
topic in general. And I'm wondering what else you think could be done, or I mean, not even necessarily about this channel, but what do you think
Yeah.
part of the solution could be?
I think a good start would be to reconsider, I guess, like how we approach some of like the more blatantly, I guess, like aggressive ex-Muslims, like out there online and stuff, because that's basically what we have. We have our online communities, and that's how we get together. I'm talking, for example, what was his name? Apostate Prophet, like one of the bigger ex-Muslim channels. Like when I like out of curiosity, just now like scrolled through his most recent videos, and it like it feels so aggressive. And like when I look at you, and maybe that's just a preference thing. Like I feel like you do genuinely put in the effort to not, I guess like how do you say it? To not dichotomize like ex-Muslims and Muslims too much, to not like put them against each other. And I do appreciate that. I feel like that is like the first step towards like understanding one another, because ultimately you cannot like certain people will continue to be religious whatever you tell them, and we must like at some point learn to coexist and to just like constantly be arguing one another and be debating one another. It just feels so trivial, like I don't know,
Mhm.
maybe I'm just wrong about everything, but it's how I feel about it, I think.
So when, if you don't mind me asking, when did you
Yeah.
leave the religion?
It was quite a gradual thing. So there's
Mhm.
not like a specific day that I woke up and was like, yeah, today I'm ex-Muslim. But I think like about uh like 6-ish years ago when I was like 16 or something,
Okay.
something like that.
And at the time, did you come across, or even throughout the years, did you come across any, you know, content online about the topic that helped you in any way?
At the time, not really. Later, when I actually sought out those communities, because you don't really just stumble upon them. I guess like later, I did like find people like Apostate Prophet, people like Infidel Noodle, you. So yeah, later I did.
Well, you described some people like AP's approach being aggressive.
Mhm.
Back when you first came across his videos, how did you interact with his videos? How did they affect you?
They made me feel seen. Like I used to really like his videos. And I felt like looking back at it now, I feel like it's a bit of a slippery slope towards like being too aggressive towards Muslims if I kept watching his videos, if I took everything at face value. But like back then, I really appreciated it. It made me feel seen, and I would never, I guess, like deny that. Like he does do that really well.
I empathize with him a lot because I've heard that same thing from so many people, and he
Yeah.
popularized the term ex-Muslim in the English-speaking world. Like if you look up ex-Muslim, the first channel you'll get is usually his. Um, I
Yeah.
think that the amount of unfiltered and relentless hatred that he's gotten over the years made it seem to him, and because of how the algorithm focuses his videos on feeding them to the people who would hate watch him the most. I think that it's definitely changed
Hmm.
his tone over the time, and I think it's painted a picture to him that I don't know if it's accurate or not. He's the one who experienced it. Um, that you can't reason with these people and so on because of the hatred and the targeted harassment that he's received. So I empathize with him a lot, and when people make that comparison, I
Yeah.
get it. I can see, had I been there, years ago, had I been in his shoes, I could have been like, that could have been my story. Um, and
Yeah.
I don't know what can be done to help him find his voice that way, or to reassure him that it doesn't have to be that way. Or maybe he is like the lightning rod that takes all the hatred from the Muslims and responds somewhat in kind sometimes, and that's something we need so
Yeah.
the rest of us can operate a different way. Um, I don't know, but all I can say is I recognize that I would not be doing this had he not, you know, taken that initiative, and had he not taken the path that he took.
Yeah, there definitely is a thing to be said about like in political science you have like this term the Overton window which basically like it's like the window in which like discourse can happen on the political like spectrum, and like what I feel like he does is he sits on the extreme of that and he makes others feel more reasonable, more moderate. And I feel like he might be a net positive for the community as a whole. It's just that like I still feel like his tone is just very aggressive and doesn't always say things that I agree with nowadays. But like you said, like I don't disagree with anything you said there. I've seen his video on his backstory and everything, and I empathize with the guy, and I hope he's happy in life. I hope he continues, you know, being happy. Um, but yeah, yeah, like how do you help someone like that? I hope he does not turn out to be more bitter over time. I hope that we can or that like the community can continue evolving towards like something better, and I hope he can be a part of it. uh, I would not begin to, I guess, like know how to approach that though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just glad and I'm lucky that I was positioned to come in at the time and the place that I did, and I hope that I can continue that kind of work in the way that I see fit. And
Yeah.
I not gonna lie, I hope that someday there's enough of a variety and enough of representation of different voices that not one person, not AP, not me, not anybody else, is tasked with being the one representative or the de facto representative of the ex-Muslim community, because it's not even anywhere near united enough to be called a community. Like I can call the 150 people on my Discord server a community, but the rest, I don't know
Yeah.
what the people on Reddit, for example, are like. I don't know what the people on the other side of the world are like. But I hope that we keep forming our pockets of communities till we somehow form enough representation for all sorts of people who have left Islam.
Yeah, no, I agree. Fair enough. Like it really is still like growing little pockets, and I hope that it does end up being one big community. The internet surely has helped us all to at least like connect a tiny bit better. So time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you could give one word of advice to someone who was where you were 6 years ago, what would you say?
Oh man. Oh man. Um, s- g- go get like go get a therapist. That's like the first word of advice. But more seriously, you don't have to overcompensate. Like if you realize that that you no longer fit your religion and you feel an atheist like I do, you don't have to go the all the way like the other way around, if that makes sense. Because I reckon like the reason why I guess like I also came up here is because like I feel like I was Islamophobic when I just realized I was an ex-Muslim, because I overcompensated for like due to like all the trauma I had surrounding Islam. So yeah, no, I feel like we should I guess like try to understand where people come from, and yeah, like end the cycle of abuse. Like it has to stop somewhere. You can't just like pass it on or double it and pass it on to the next person.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I agree, and I know that again I'm privileged enough that I get to be a calm person and say that you should respond. You should kind of like turn the other cheek, sort of approach to some
Oh
extent.
yeah.
Um,
It is a privilege. I
it is,
agree. Like
yeah,
I have the privilege too. It's yeah, like it's not a thing that everyone can do. It's not realistic for everyone, but I hope that everyone can work towards it a little
yeah,
bit and keep it in mind.
yeah, and I hope that people aren't tested, or put in positions where they feel like they have to respond in kind, with hate. Yeah, because like you said, it's a cycle.
Yeah,
So yeah, I hope this has changed.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate you calling in today, and I
yeah.
hope
Thank you
that
so
you enjoyed
much.
the conversation as well.
I really did. I really did. I hope you'll have a fun time with the rest of your stream, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks again to the caller. Muhammad is asking, look, I'm not bothered by this podcast, but how can you support Israel? I don't think I've ever said that I support Israel. I've made my position on this somewhat clear before. I don't talk about this topic, and I invite people not to talk about this topic on this channel, because there are other channels that are better and other people who are better suited to talk about it and more interested in talking about it, and they have more information. I purposely go out of my way not to learn too much information about this because it breaks my heart every single day. I feel powerless to other people's suffering. I can only focus on so much suffering at a single time, and I'm choosing this battle to fight. So my position by not talking about this isn't that I am secretly supportive of Israel or anything. I feel for all the victims, and most of them lately have been Palestinians. So I'm not a supporter of Israel in any way. I hope that people who have suffered on both sides can finally get peace, and I hope that somehow we can find a way to resolve it. All right, let's take the next caller. The next caller is Jojo. I hope that you're ready, because I'm adding you to the live stream now. Hey, Jojo. Welcome to the call. You are muted, so I'll give you a few seconds to get caught up.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Sorry, it wasn't at the same time, I was watching your live. I didn't know I was
There's a
going.
bit of a delay. Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up. Yeah, well,
That's
welcome to the
okay.
stream.
Thank you. I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no need to be. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about yourself and why you called today.
So I tried to be anonymous, so I'm sorry if I'm not saying a lot about myself. Basically, so like you, I'm an apostate, and thank you, but it's all because of you.
Okay.
To be honest, I wanted to talk about the loneliness surrounding the being an apostate. So for me, I grew up Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Muslim family, and there's a community around it. I guess everybody kind of knows it. So in my family, I was the one who asked the most questions. I was always the one who find interest in religion and stuff like this, because I was just a curious person by nature. And just like you, that's why I think I could relate to you. There are questions that about Islam that I never found answer for, like slavery, like the question of hell, why good people who are non-Muslim go to hell. And at some point, like being Muslim felt suffocating, especially as a woman. I am still a feminist, so I kind of gradually, like, how to say it? Sorry, I'm not.
That's okay.
I gradually went away. I gradually became a Quranist. You know what's a Quranist normally?
Quranist, yeah, someone who only takes the Quran and doesn't refer to the Hadith or the Seerah. Yeah.
So when I found your channel, I was a Quranist, and I went. I was before I became a Quranist, I was always like, oh no, apostate are so wrong. But I listened to you with open mind, and I stumbled across one of your live, and you welcomed. I know his name, so I'm not going to say it, but I don't remember what the username he used. And he put on the Discord of Exmuslim of France, because to be honest, I was very lonely at the time. And I think that's what kept me from becoming an ex-Muslim. And so at first, and I think I could relate also to, his name was Nabil just before me.
Billie, yeah.
Billie.
Mm-hmm.
So the Discord was very nice, but to be honest, it's not really a community, My whole family is like Muslim. I kind of feel lonely, really lonely. And I just wanted to know, like, do you have advice for people who how to deal with it.
Two things I want to say to that. So, well, first of all, I'm glad that we're having this chat. I'm glad that you're here. I'm happy to be talking to
Thank
you.
you.
You said that Discord is not community, and I agree with what you mean to say is that it's not a replacement for having people around you in the flesh who are similar to you. I agree with that. But the way that I think to deal with this, and I'm not just saying this to promote specifically my Discord server, I really think that there is some value in having online community when there is no in-person replacement for it, at least for the time being. Because I'm presuming that, there aren't that many ex-Muslims around you, at least not that you know of, and that everyone around you behaves and thinks in ways that are very different to you. If it's possible to seek those people out, I'm sure you already are trying to do so. But in the meantime, if you happen to find ways to make connections with like-minded people online, it's not a replacement, but it is better than not having anything. And then people who are in similar positions like yourself would give you better advice than I ever could. So I, for example, I'm very lucky that now I no longer live in the Middle East, and I can have friendships with a lot of people who aren't religious. And so, but that means that I have a blind spot. I don't go through the same exact struggles you go through on a day-to-day basis. So it doesn't make me very good at giving advice for your specific situation. But if you were in such a community, you would be able to talk to people who are in exactly the same situation as you and figure out what they did to help themselves and to help each other. So I think that would be my answer there.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I wasn't I made some friends with the Discord. I actually met also a boyfriend with the help of the Discord, but I, it's not the same as there's an emotional, link with. I had friends from middle school to I had friends who are Muslims that I cannot let go of. And I have my family that I cannot let go of. But I feel like because of Islam, I cannot, live as I am. And that's just really, really lonely, So the Discord is here. I have friends, and maybe we all go through it, but I don't know, there's how sometimes people say that the loneliness is the most harmful thing that is in the world. It's the cause of so many wars and so many hatred and so many things. Billie has something about it. He said that, the apostate community within itself, it's not welcoming. There's so much discord with one another because of how you think are we Islamophobic? Are we not? I'm a feminist. Some ex-Muslim, are anti-feminist. There's so much discord between us. I think we cannot form a real community. And also, I live in France, and to be honest, being an ex-Muslim is really dangerous here, and that's why I know so many people who wants to do a channel but can't because they are scared. The guy the guy that I met through you, the French one.
Soleil Apostate?
Yeah, Suleiman. You remember him?
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
he's not, I think he had issue with it too.
Yeah, I haven't seen him lately, and I was worried about him.
Yeah, I think because of that, he's stopped doing what he do because he was scared. It's a very, very lonely state,
I'm really sorry to hear that even in France it is dangerous to be an ex-Muslim. Can you expand on that a little bit? So can you give me examples? How is it dangerous to be an ex-Muslim in France?
Well, it depends on where you live, but the community of Muslim is so big that you know, like this hatred towards ex-Muslims. What can I say about it? It's just everywhere, you know.
So you're
Because of
saying,
Islam.
is it just about family members or also strangers?
Yeah, family members. I know that if I tell my family that I'm an ex-Muslim, they would not talk to me anymore, and they would reject me, even my friends, and also I'm quite scared of telling even strangers that I am an ex-Muslim, because maybe that stranger, is an extremist, or will tell my family if they know my family or whatever, There's just this community, everybody knows everyone. Can't live as yourself.
I realize that even if, say, you're in less danger than you think you are, it is very easy to feel so scared just because of the real consequences you might feel. No matter how slim the chances are, it can still be terrifying enough. So I'm so sorry that you're struggling with it. It must be very difficult to be in that situation, in France of all places. Do you think that plays a role in how the French public or the French government creates policies that are restrictive on the hijab, for example?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
Sure. Do you think that perceived danger and the presence of a lot of hostile Muslims in France, hostile towards ex-Muslims at least, do you think that plays a role in the way that France makes policies that are anti-hijab, for example, or the public's perception of Islam and Muslims in France?
I think that's two very different subjects. To be honest, can I tell you the truth? I think the hijab policies is about France wanting to, be separate with, before it was the church, and now it's any type of religious school. When I was in high school, I saw a girl being expelled because she had a cross. It's true that, Muslims here complains a lot about, Islamophobia, because women cannot wear the hijab where they want, but it's really to how I see it, how I perceive it. It's really towards everybody that is religious. The only time I saw someone being expelled is because they wear a cross. So I don't know if it's because of it's because of fear of religious extremism, maybe. I don't know. It's just that maybe France don't want what happened before with Christianity happening now. It's just really... And is hijab really... What do you think about that? Is really hijab...
Are you saying that it's not that they're anti-hijab as much as they're anti-religious symbols?
Yeah, I think perceive the hijab as a religious symbol. I don't know if it is. I don't think that it is. What do you think about it?
I think it means different things to different people. Like there are a lot of hijabi women who wear it just because they wear it, because their family wears it, because it's part of how they dress. And they might not even be that religious, but I think religion is not that much of a choice for a lot of Muslims. So I don't think what France is doing is really helping. It makes people cling on to their religion even stronger, and it really gets in the way of what they're actually trying to achieve. And I think, from what I'm understanding from you, it's not that they're singling out Muslims or hijabis. It's just that Muslims and hijabis are the loudest ones in protest to these rules.
maybe, but to be honest, they how to know how to say it simply. They only because hijab is you can see them. It's really apparent. You can't really see that someone is Christian unless they wear a cross. You can't really see that someone, they wear it. It's their choice. It's even like the abaya. There was policies with abaya, the abaya, and I think that was the issue. But to be honest, most hijabis here wear the hijab because they don't think it's a religious. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it. Sorry.
That's okay. I appreciate your input anyway. Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if you have any questions for me.
Yeah. I live in France. You live in, I don't know where. So you don't live in Arabia Saudi anymore?
No, not anymore.
Aren't you scared too? How do you deal with it?
Of which
being
part
scared
exactly?
of people knowing you are an ex-Muslim.
So, at first, when I was first on TikTok, I was wearing a hoodie and a mask, and it was even back then, was with nothing identifiable about me except my voice. A friend of a friend identified me, not a Muslim, but they identified me. They saw me on TikTok and they sent me a message saying, I noticed, I saw you on TikTok. And I was surprised, and that scared me a little bit. I wondered if, what if someone that I know who's a Muslim has identified me and then exposes my identity and so on. But then I just took measures against it, and I did my best to make it clear to the people who I care to keep in my life, and those who I didn't care to keep in my life, I don't care if they find out or not. And we have a lot of Muslim trolls who try to mess with the channel by posting very obscene things in the chat. So let me just deal with that real quick, and then I'll be right back. I'm here.
Okay.
I was concerned at first, and I still am. That's why I still wear the mask. But I've felt more and more empowered over the years because my approach is not that hostile. I still get hostility, just like we're seeing right now. It's just a level of risk that I've accepted that I have to take, because if I am positioned well enough to be able to take that risk, I don't live in the Middle East anymore. I thankfully can take some of that risk. Someone has to. So I'm glad that I am that person who can do it, because I felt like if I don't do it, if I just wait till it's absolutely safe enough, I don't think that's going to happen if nobody steps up to do it. So I know that there's still a little bit of risk involved, or a lot of risk involved, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question. I just assume the risk, and I do my best to be safe.
To be honest, I feel like this is quite courageous of you. You're someone that I always look up to when I feel, I have uncertainties, I always watch videos, and I really like the format you use. So thank you for doing all of this, to be honest. Thank you very much.
Of course, I'm happy to do it, and I hope that I'm able to help people in ways that I needed when I was going through this at the time.
You do. Thank you.
Yeah. And is there anything else that you wanted to add or ask about?
No.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling in today, and it was nice talking to you.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great rest of your day. Of course. Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye. thanks again to the caller. We have one last caller left, Dua. Please be ready because I'm adding you to the live stream soon. So I have restricted the comments for a little bit to subscriber only mode. I assume the trolls are going to try to join again as subscribers, so thank you for the subscriptions. This kind of happens sometimes, so I apologize in advance if you see some things that are not very kind in the chat, but we do our best here. All right. Now I will add the last caller. Dua, I hope you're ready because I'm adding you to the live stream now. Hey, Dua, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about you?
I'm okay.
Tell me a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to share something about me.
Sure.
So I'm an Indian ex-Muslim,
Mhm.
but right now I stay in Saudi Arabia. I'm staying in Saudi Arabia. So what my issues with Islam is that since childhood, like my in India, the people don't know the meaning of the Quran. Like majority of people, 90% of people don't know what has been written in Quran.
Mhm.
They just the sayings which parents say, and they just hear that Quran is preserved from dot to dot and letter to letter. Then again, like things like sayings. So these were the things. So I from since childhood, like I thought that Allah is perfect. See, that was my sorry for blabbering. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
So like then when I came to Saudi Arabia, I felt like I should read and the meaning of the Quran. So when like I went to Dars and all, and then the ladies they were translated and hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm still here.
Yeah. Sorry, my first language is not English, so I'm not very fluent.
That's okay. So you were saying that you heard a lot of these things about the Quran being preserved letter for letter and all that, and then you started learning about the Quran. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So then I started learning what is written inside the Quran, like the meaning of it. So like I've read it 2-3 times. Then I started to question the things like morality of it, like why he had so many wives and slaves. The sex slavery part was, I saw so many scholars about it, the sex slavery explanation and all, but nothing was. What do you say?
Nothing. So all these explanation, nothing made sense. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Nothing made sense. So that was the thing, and I felt like I feel now. I think that Muhammad, in the initial stages, he did he did see hallucinations, like whatever angel and all that. He did believe in that, but along the line, when he was spreading this message and all, so somewhere he felt that he's powerful, and he had misused that power.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you think he was I guess he had some sort of mental illness, and he actually believed that he talked to God and so on, and then he started misusing that power later on. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. So later on, then because why Almighty and God will be so much interested in his sexual and private life, and giving special powers to only that person. Then I saw this so many cult documentaries on Netflix. So it is like typical cult features. I feel like Islam is a typical cult feature. And I want to ask you one question also. Like, see, first of all, this Allah, Quran is a word of Allah. Like Muslim believe that, right? So, uh, why do you think like it is like any other cult? I feel like now I can see it that it Islam is like any other cult. So why it is like 2 billion people still believe in that cult? Like there were so many cult happened over the time, but there were like 1,000, 2,000 people in that cult and something like that. But like 2 billion people still believe in this thing. So what do you think is the reason?
I don't think that everyone has all the facts or all, you don't even have to call them facts, that everyone has all the information when they're deciding on whether or not they're religious. I don't think that's how people form their beliefs. A lot of the times, people form their beliefs by mimicking or adopting beliefs of those around them, including especially their family members and people they look up to. So I don't think that it's that obvious to them that they sit down with all the information and they make a decision to be Muslim or to be Christian. So I can excuse that even with all this information out there in the world, you would have to know where to look. You'd have to know to look for it, and you'd have to overcome your internal barriers, the indoctrination that tells you that any information that disagrees with your current belief is false or is ill-intended or is coming from the haters and so on. So there are many, many ways that believers are kept in the faith for so long, and I can understand why.
Okay.
Was it frustrating to you when you saw all of these things and you don't believe anymore? Was it frustrating that so many people believe? Yeah.
Yes. And the thing was that I had so many misconception about Islam. Before reading Quran in detail, like with meaning and all, I thought that Islam is all about Allah. Allah is the perfect. Allah is that, and I had no issues with that. Like I believed in it that there is one God which is powerful and he knows everything and all. But later on, when I read the Quran, I feel like even I said to my husband that in this word that I feel everything is not Inshallah, it is Insha Muhammad. I felt like Muhammad is equivalent to almost equivalent to Allah to the people of Muslim. Like I had that issue that Allah is Almighty. How can a person, even if he is a messenger and he is a seal of all the messenger and all that, but how can a person then there was special advantages for him that only he can get, and then when he had to do these things like marriage to Zainab and all that, like it doesn't make sense with morally, like what is it this, and why the Almighty God is only interested in that person personal matters which are not any advantage to all the mankind. So I feel like Quran is very limited to that 6th century time period. It does not include our like nowadays there's a social media, internet and everything, but there is nothing written in the Quran or nothing related to it. Then there were so many 1600 years ago only Islam came. Before that was like when earth came into existence in billion years ago, I mean the universe 13 billion years ago. So all this time what was Allah doing? Like nothing about that and all. Like no what do I say?
Yeah,
Like so many things, stupid questions. Like see, the white dinosaurs are not written in the Quran because there was a like million and period of time that they were there on the earth, and they say that no, dinosaurs are written like all the animals and creature Allah has created. So like vague. You can take out any meaning about that in Quran. I feel like
Yeah,
so. It feels
I think that it's to what you said. How one man is afforded so many privileges and gets to talk to God in private, and whatever he says is what we should believe God said. I think the biggest
yeah.
issue with that is that so many cults and as people call them, false prophets. I don't think there's such a thing as a true prophet. They're all false prophets. But it's very
I
easy
agree.
for someone to use the same exact mechanism to claim that their religion or their idea is from God. And even if they don't have all the same pedigree, if they don't have the same thickness of their book, if they don't have as many followers, it's still a problem, because why would God use such an inferior method of speaking, whispering into
Yes,
one man's
exactly.
ear? Like, it doesn't make
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah,
It's as if
exactly.
I said, I'm gonna do a giveaway for my subscribers. I'm not going to, but it's as if I said I will. And to join, you have to answer random commenters in the chat and give them your social security number and all that sort of
Yes,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So it is like right now I'm suffering a lot because of all this, because as you know, this ex-Muslim thing in India and even in Saudi, I cannot share with anybody like my thought. Even if I have so many doubts, they don't accept that, no, that all these things. So, and I have a child also. She is like 9 years old. But I'm thinking that I know, I'm clear about my, thinking. But what do I do with her future? Like, what do I teach her? Like I have been taught Islam since childhood, like not talking to boys and all that uh, stuff. So now, Miss, I am. How do I say? So, like, what do I teach my child that she will not be, you know?
What do you teach your child? That is very
Like,
difficult. Yeah, is your husband,
like
what's his position on this?
he's not very religious, but he has not read the meaning of the Quran, but he does believe what I say. Like I show him the verses and all. So what's the meaning and what's the logic of it? So he does agree with me. But the thing is that my all relatives, my all family, my husband's family, all they are people who are Muslims. So I have to stay in this like community. So like how do I pretend and pretending, and then uh, I'm worried about my future of my child. Like in
Okay.
future, like if
Yeah.
I have to get her married, so what do I like look for?
Oh,
Muslim or
no, don't.
non-Muslim or what?
Okay, so how old is your child, if you don't mind me asking, approximately?
Sorry, she's just 9 years old.
Okay.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
far.
You're stressing about something that is more than 10 years away. I can assure you that in 10 years from now, hopefully, it'll be so much easier to find her a suitable partner, or she would
I
be,
do hope. I do hope.
yeah, if you afford her the right climate to grow in, she will be very well suited to find her own partner, and they will be a good person for her. So don't worry about that. I'm glad that your husband is on a similar page as you, and that at least you don't have to also fight inside your
Yeah.
own
Yes.
house.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
and I also want to commend you, because your worry is understandable, and I don't envy you being in that position. I'm sorry that that's a struggle that you have to go through, but also remind yourself that you are affording her a much better upbringing and a much better chance at escaping this system than you were given. So she has two
Yes.
parents who are supportive of her, who will not raise her to be religious like everyone else around them. Yes, it's going to be difficult growing up in Saudi Arabia and having relatives who are religious, but if you teach her how to critically examine her beliefs and her thoughts, including everything that she learns about in school as well, not just, to believe
Yeah, because
science and that's it. Yeah.
they teach Islamic studies is a compulsory subject here. There is a Quran compulsory here. Then there is Arabic compulsory here. These three languages, three subjects are there, which are like compulsory. So I have to teach her for the school also. So Islamic studies I am teaching her, which I am not believing, but I have to teach her all this stuff. That Muhammad is prophet and he is perfect and all that stuff. So that is also very difficult for me. So like I'm lying to her because I cannot tell her now because she is a child. She might say, she might repeat the things which I'm saying. So I'm scared to tell her even that no, Muhammad, don't say Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, about Prophet Muhammad and all that. So all these issues are there. And one more problem I'm facing, that my parents, they are very religious. So they are religious till to like it is harming their health. Every other day they do fasting and they pray all the time and they get up for the what do you call it, tahajjud. Yeah, for
To
that
pray
praying.
very late at night.
Yeah, so they're like religious. They have been they were religious before also, but now like they have become too religious. So like what do I do about this situation? Should I do I pretend that I'm okay with Islam, or do I discuss can I like should I discuss with them that these are the issues and all? Because I've discussed this with my mom, but she just says no, this is all shaitan and don't think about it and all that stuff.
Well, that's a difficult situation to be in. Ultimately, you're the one who knows them best and knows what, you're the one who would know what to do best. But if there's a way to somehow live your life, you don't have to necessarily come out to them, but live your life in a way that is free from them to some extent. And also maybe try to tell them to somehow convince them to calm down a little bit with their religious work. Like they've already done a lot of work. Tell them that, God told you not to overexert yourself, things like that. You don't have to get them out of religion.
Yes. I always tell them, but they are like so obsessed with like, my mom says that our purpose on earth is to only pray, that we are going to, all that our purpose is. So she doesn't want to even waste time of minutes of her life. She just wants to do all the worshipping and things. So like I'm very worried about what I feel guilty also that I'm not able to do anything for them, and about so many Muslims in India. They are minority, but still there are a lot of people in India, and this becoming an ex-Muslim also. They have this thing going on in India. On YouTube also you must have seen those channels and all that. They are I don't know what to say, like Islamophobe. I don't think so Islamophobe, but like hatred toward the this Muslim people.
Can you think of any channels specifically?
I that ex-Muslim Sahil or something like that.
Okay.
I've seen their content little bit, like they speak in native language, and they normal poor, normal lower middle class people come to their channel and they just discuss with them that these verses are like this and these verses are like that. So I feel in their stream also there are a lot of Hindus and other religion people who are like anti Islam, anti Islamic, Muslim kind of thinking. So I'm worried about that also, because in India they are in majority, like Muslim are minority, and now this Ram Mandir thing and everything is going around. So I'm worried about like this ex-Muslim people coming out, and these people are like
You know,
um,
you're not the first
they are,
person to tell me that. Like there's
yeah,
a few Indian ex-Muslims and on my server who have told me similar things. And well, first of all, I want to say you sound like someone who has a lot of empathy, and you seem to care about a lot of people in your life, even people in India who are not in your life. You seem to care about a lot of people all the time, and I want to commend you for that.
yeah,
But also be careful not to overly exert yourself or feel like you have to fix everything wrong in the world, or feel bad because you can't, fix everything, or
exactly,
help everyone's
exactly,
suffering. I know the
exactly.
feeling. It's tiring. So first of all, try to celebrate the wins that you do have, that you're able to raise your daughter the way that you want, that you're able to support her in ways that you are not supported, and that she will not have to worry about you praying tahajjud too late at night when you're, old and tired. So celebrate those things and try to see what you can do to help others within, a reasonable extent. Like don't be sad about what you can't do. Be happy about what you can do. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I want to ask you is, these voices in India that you think are too hateful towards Muslims, and you worry about Muslims being a minority there, what do you think you can do to support them? Or what do you think someone like me can do to support them?
Just continuing the thing which you are doing, because your channel, I feel like it is, ex-Muslim, but in a peaceful way. The your way of saying things. Sometimes, like whatever I'm thinking, I cannot express that in words, which you say in your videos and all, no, about Islam and all, Allah and Muhammad and everything. So I feel like just keep on doing whatever you are doing, and just explaining the verses in this and that, because you are a Arabic speaking person. So that is also a very good thing that people will agree that you know Arabic, because majority of people in India, they don't know Arabic. They just read, even pronunciation they don't know the proper pronunciation and all that. So,
Mhm.
but they are just agreeing with the idea, no? I don't think so. The whole, like in their lifetime, they never read Quran with meaning. They just read with Arabic. They think that reading only matters. Like only reading, you have to do reading. No, you don't need to understand it.
Mhm.
So majority people are like that. So that is an issue also.
Yeah, I hear you, and I wish I could do more. I think maybe I need to position myself as a more explicitly. How do I say this? Maybe I need to say it more explicitly. I've never wanted to
Yes,
be that person who says, "Hey, look at me! I'm different than these other ex-Muslims. I am, more peaceful than these other ex-Muslims." But it is something that I hear every single time I live stream, and
yes, yes.
maybe I need to own it to some extent, or maybe I need to tell people, if you want a different
Yes,
flavor,
exactly,
this is where to
exactly.
come.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes, 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 yes. Because being ex-Muslim, it is not like we hate Muslim people. I feel bad for them. I am angry with ideology, not with the people. So and I want them to know and just read in the Quran and just think about it and all. So I think like social media is doing very good job at it, because like 3 years ago there were not many videos about Islamic topics and all. Now on YouTube there are so many topics which you can search, like sex slavery and everything with the topic. So uh, that is a good thing, because people are uh, you know they are watching your videos, and they are at least thinking that no, he has a point, why it is like that. So I would like you to do continue doing this, and like do more of it now. Like I feel like you don't come as often as on YouTube.
I do want to do this more. It's um, maybe I don't know. I've seen that model work for other channels, like you mentioned Sahil's channel, for example, where they just do long live streams and they don't worry as much about making it into short, presentable. I mean, sometimes they cut
Yes,
segments out
yes,
of it.
yes, yes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe I need to adopt a little bit more of that model where I'm just live streaming multiple times a week and then try to find little segments of it rather than trying to curate every live stream to be, very, very watchable. But
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
I think
exactly.
I need a bigger audience
Because
for that to work. Yeah.
I feel like there is but the problem lies in the first step. The first step was for me was like, thinking about that, just the thinking that it might be possible that Islam is not true. Just that first step was difficult. Then when I looked into that step, then the points were clear that I always had these issues with Islam, like this, because my mom used to always praise Muhammad, 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 and I used to feel like why Muhammad is not what do you say, gay person, non mehram is not Muhammad nor Mehram for her. Why she is like Muhammad, Muhammad? Isn't this love is not bad? That Muhammad is a guy and you are a woman and you are saying Muhammad, Muhammad. So this Muhabbat or Ishq or love, why, this? How can this love be acceptable? That kind of, like, I had very weird issues with Islam. Like, I have so many issues that I've not even seen on the YouTube you know videos also, like why Quran is not in the chronological order, like how the Allah has given, why it was not preserved in the his lifetime, Muhammad's lifetime. Then, like, small issues, so many issues are there.
I know that
So
it'll take so many people so much to uncover all of the issues in the religion, but we have the rest of our lives, I suppose, and not everyone needs
yes,
to not everyone needs to examine it from every angle. Sometimes all we need is just that's the problem with claiming perfection. When the Islam claims that the Quran claims perfection, as soon as you
exactly.
find some flaws, that's it. You don't have to go
Yes.
deeper than that.
Yes, like that. The perfection, I had this problem with, I felt that Islam is perfect, and then when I read it, it is not perfect. It has so many flaws, and it is all Muhammad, Muhammad, Muhammad. What is it, like Allah and Muhammad, Allah, like so
Yeah.
that's all. So
Well,
just keep on doing what you're doing, because you're doing very great job. But just more of your videos, like more stuff, because I feel so many good content of yours. Why they have not like have good views? Why people have not searched it? Why they have not seen it? Like topics. So
I think sometimes it's I need to be more combative for the public to be interested, but I don't think I'm going to change my tone. I'm just hoping that eventually the growth will get me to that point, or connecting to the right people. I need to talk to more
yes.
other channels. So I'm working on it, but yeah, I appreciate your support.
But
And yeah,
I feel like your way is good, better than other, because it is very soft. Sorry, it's
that's okay.
just softer way from not like extreme harsh now, that you are doing extreme something anti-Islamic or something like that. So just little by little, peacefully, you can go into that transition from Muslim to ex-Muslim and whatever. But that first peaceful way of yours is really good, I feel.
I'm glad you think so, and I hope it resonates with many more people.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. And thank you again for joining. And I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening.
It's night here, midnight in Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, you are. Well, I hope you have a restful sleep and a good night.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Take
Good
care.
night. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks again to the caller. So my apologies. There were some trolls in the comments, and we have dealt with that. So to paint you a picture, there's a bunch of repetitive comments targeted harassment, claiming that I don't know if I want to say this explicitly, that I have an affinity for younger people, which is ironic because the people making that claim have an affinity for a prophet who did marry a younger person. And I don't like bringing that up, but it seems to be something that is on the trolls' mind all the time. And there was another message about how ex-Muslims should be killed and so on. I find it hard to believe that anyone would be intentionally trying to sabotage a live stream like this for any other reason aside from them thinking that they're somehow supporting Islam by doing so. I don't think Christians are behind this. I highly doubt it. Perhaps one could hypothesize that maybe it is a Christian who's trying to make Muslims look bad by harassing ex-Muslims, though I think that is a bit too convoluted. It's been a common theme so far that the perpetrators are of a certain background. That only reflects poorly on Muslims and on the religion. So please do not do that. I don't want people to view Muslims as the sort of people who would leave those comments. But anyway, thank you everyone for joining, for all the callers. It was a great live stream. Sorry I haven't done one in a while. I've been sick for a while. There may or may not be one next week, but I will be out of town the week after, but I will do one on the road. So that'll be interesting. It'll be a different setup. We'll see how it works. Hopefully it works just as well. So thank you everyone for joining. And to reiterate, if you want to be part of the community, if you want to support me just because you appreciate what I do and you would like to see me continue doing it, it is not easy doing this, especially it is not easy doing this while also having other responsibilities in life. So if you would like to be a supporter, become a patron, YouTube member, or use one of the links below to donate one time if you'd like to. And if you would like to go even further, if you want to be a part of the community, then do any of the above and link your Discord account to Patreon or YouTube, and you will become a Discord member. And then you can join us in chats that are not on these live streams as well. So thank you all for joining. Thank you to all the helpers in the comments and behind the scenes. I appreciate you a lot. And what else did I want to say? Yeah, and thank you to all the patrons, YouTube members, and supporters. I couldn't have done this without all of you. And as always, think critically and think